All right, our piece is almost done. We're going to switch to the gluing process. So what I'm going to do is take my bundle, kind of break it in half. You can kind of decide how big you want your strip. I'm going to put mine about like this. And then tie it here, and then that should all cover that wire too, about like that. All right, so what I'm going to do is just kind of glue this all over the place. So I'm going to take my new glue container, and just open it up all the way so I can get in there. Now I like to use a brush for my paint. It's a different brush though. This is just like just an extra paintbrush that I have. And I'm going to put some glue here and all down the bottom here. Now for this one, I'm just going to turn it over so it can be glued on right like that. Then I'm just going to repeat the process for this other side. I'm especially wanting to cover that wire that's kind of left showing there still. If you can stay on the stick, that's going to make it easiest. The more you touch the fibers, the more they're just going to stick to your brush, like I'm experiencing here. I'm setting my brush in some water as it's waiting for the next step. Alright, and then I want to pull down probably about this far, and I'm going to use another piece. Now you want to use a string big enough that you can tie it well. Alright, so what we want to do is tie it in a knot first. Now if you're doing this with a straw, you can use the same kind of jute or hemp type of string, or you can just use wire. Like a lot of times on real straw brooms, that's what you see, is some wire that's kind of sewn into it. Alright, and then I'm going to take this, I'm going to do a little bit of glue first, just so we have a really secure knot here. And then I'm going to put glue all around the back of this here, because I want to wrap mine around a few times. Okay, now I actually would prefer it to just be glued rather than knotted again. So I'm just going to hold this here, and then I'm going to coat this whole thing with glue. And for this, I'm just using Elaine's Fast Grab Tacky Glue. It's a bit thicker than her other glues, and I like how it dries really quickly too. Now I think what I'm going to do is actually tie this down, but I'm just going to do one pull through, not a full knot. So I don't want the bumpy look from the knot. But I am going to really glue that area. All right, you see how this is just gonna gum this all together and make it stick for us. Again, a whole bunch on these little ends of the string here. Okay, so now we need to let that dry. And now with the rest of this, I kind of want to look how it was so big and fluffy looking, but it's actually going to be just about what we need. Okay, now if you pull on it, you'll find that you've got some pieces that are going to come out that are just loose. And then you may want to shape it just a little bit. I'm going to round mine just a tiny bit, but I don't want Harry Potter look so much. I want it more like Witchy Broom. So I'm going to keep it more like a fan shape. Like that. Now I'm going to go in a little deeper and make sure, yeah, we've got a lot of glue that's just sticking to our stick, so that's awesome. That's working well. Now we're just going to go in with a bit more glue, do another layer of it. Just reaching down to where that glue is sticking to the stick. So we still have our stick in here to give our broom extra support when it's standing. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit deeper inside the broom. Just kind of help the places that I want it to be shaped differently hold their shape better. Oh, I'm getting a bunch of that gook in my glue. Have to dive in after it with a toothpick eventually. Okay. Now you can kind of shape it how you want it. You get a bunch of just little extra pieces that are sitting here. And then what I want to do is trim this super thin. And use my fingers to kind of help lock all this into place here. Now it's going to dry clear and matte. So that won't be showing, so we'll just have to see what it looks like when it is all dried out. Now as you're doing it, kind of pull on it and you're going to get more of the bristles to kind of fall out. So then you can go back in and do a little bit more trimming and adjust your shape. And then I want it a little bit more raggedy. Now the top we want to trim down a little bit too, but I want it to still be a little bit raggedy looking rather than too squared off. I think I want just a little bit shorter though. Go ahead and just do whatever appeals to you. All right, that looks good. So now we're gonna close up that glue. Get our brush soaking in the water so it's not gonna get ruined from the glue. I will continue to just use this brush mostly for glue. All right. So my little leftovers and my messy hands. Okay, one of the last things I want to do while this is drying is actually take some, this is called walnut ink. And I need to do it with some paper, kind of like this. And I'm going to do a test spray first. Then I'm just going to get my hands right in there too. So it'll kind of just make that look a little bit dirty and dingy. There we go, that's kind of the look that we want, right like that. You can either dip your fingers into it like this and then just kind of color and shadow your broom just like this. Now this is an alcohol ink, so it dries really, really quick. And then we want to do a little bit more on our stick. I want to spray it with some alcohol ink as well. This will give it just a nice fine wash. Let's do both sides. You really just need a little bit to get on there, and then you can just kind of smooth it out like that. Kind of squishing my tail. I need to grab just that stick portion so I don't. Okay, there we go. Now the last thing I want to do, all right, the last thing I want to do is use some bleached titanium. I'm just going to set it here on this paper. Now this unbleached titanium, it's a white color, but it's very more like a beige. And it's great for just adding some highlights. So what I want to do is just brush that in and then get a lot of the paint off of it onto this paper. And then just do a little bit of quick little brush strokes like this. Just kind of highlight some of that texture that we put in there. You can get your fingers in there if you need to lighten it back up again. And then I want to do it right over this. Because that will really help that show. You could even make little knots and stuff all down the stick if you wanted, and then do that same effect to it, so it looks really cool. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more that's a full white. Alright. There you go. That's how you create a witch's broom. Now we just have to let it dry. If you wanted to wrap this with some wire or a ribbon, anything to make it look more decorative, you could do that too. But as it is, it's ready to go. And I just want to see how it's going to look next to our witch doll here that's needing her outfit very soon. Okay, look at that. That is a great prop for her. Alright, so that is how you make a kind of a gnarled, natural looking witch's broom. Remember, you can use the jute, you can use hemp, you can use the straw. You got lots of options, but the basic putting of it together is the same for each one. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Bye. Alright, here it is. We finished our witch's broom. This is a prop that's going to go with our witch art doll. It's got really cool kind of rings on the edges of it like this, and it looks all knobby So the video on how to finish this broom up will be up tonight on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy that and have fun making witches' brooms for your doll too.